Good morning, Sonder fam. I have been watching the chat, folks talking about the temperatures where they are. Becca said it's minus 22 in Minnesota. Oh my goodness. I guess I'll be happy with my 7 degrees here in Denver, Colorado. So I hope everyone is able to stay warm, hunker down, get those blankets, find that cozy cup of coffee or a cozy cup of tea. You're here with us this morning working on that weekly setup. Hopefully you don't have to get out on the roads if they're bad. I know I am here joined today with our fabulous co-facilitator, Jennifer O. She is down in Texas, and she said that while it looks like a beautiful winter wonderland, it's not snow. It's all that sleet and ice, and she's not going anywhere today. She's got a cozy crafting day going, so love that. I hope that folks are able to do that and not have to go out. And I know it's really hard in those places that don't normally get large amounts of snow and ice because they just don't have the infrastructure, right? You've got like power lines and all that kind of stuff out there, and they're getting all icy and breaking and all of those kinds of things. So hopefully everyone is staying warm. If you're a football fan, there's some football going on today. I know I'm here in Denver and I should be a Broncos fan, but I don't really like football. I know. That's always the time that we go to the grocery store when the football game is playing because the grocery store will be empty. So we shall see what happens. So whatever you're doing today, you are spending this morning with us. You are getting that week set up. So I'm glad that you're here. Glad that you're here with us. And is there anybody new? This is your first time, maybe at a Sonder Social, maybe first time for a weekly setup. You can just put like a me in the chat. If you're new, just know that, Anne Marie, welcome. She's a newbie. Just know that you have no cameras will show up for you. You won't be on camera. Your microphones are not on, so you never have to worry about that. This is just me here in person, and then our fabulous Jennifer O is going to be in the chat, keeping an eye on if anybody has any questions or needs anything. She can drop some links in there, those kinds of things. So this is very much a take what you need from this hour. So I do like to also point out just a few little housekeeping things. First of all, that little chat box with the little blue thing that says everyone, make sure that it says everyone if you're typing and you want everyone to see what you're saying. Zoom, especially if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, has an obnoxious tendency to keep flipping back to host and panelist, which means the only people that see what you write are myself and Jennifer. So if we're the only ones you want to see what you write, that's fine, but just know that it will do that. Also, we want to make sure that you are kind and courteous to both yourself and others. We want to make sure that this is a safe and supportive space. So no promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy. What we talk about here in our Sonder Social stays here or in Sonder Club. We like to post pictures and those kinds of things there in Sonder Club. We make sure there's no hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. Best place to ask about pins and stickers and all those kinds of things really is in our app, Sonder Club, so that folks can post pictures and links and those kinds of things. And then any of those customer care inquiries, like you need to update your billing, check on a shipment, those kinds of things, those all go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Jennifer and I do not have access to your account, so we can't fix anything for you. So totally, all of those go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Just keep in mind that our headquarters is Pacific time, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So sometimes it might take a little bit for them to get back to you. And then remember that these socials really are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And you can see in the chat, we have got fabulous people. We've got a wonderful community, so supportive, so creative, so fun. But ultimately, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're working on that just isn't your jam, do what you need to do with this time. There's no right or wrong way to attend a social, right? If there's any Zoom user, I see Jennifer's posting, does anyone know how to change where it says Zoom user to your name? So Zoom user, just say that this is where you can switch the everyone box to host and panelist. Tell us what name you want. Jennifer O can go in and she can put the right name in there. So just know we can fix that. Usually that happens if you don't have a name associated with your Zoom user account. So we can definitely switch that so you're not just Zoom user. So in the chat there. So again, this is your time. If the music I play isn't your jam, you can mute that. If my voice isn't your jam, you can mute me. We've got closed captioning enabled. Again, this is totally here for you. So this month, we have been digging into that theme of alignment. This is the last week of the month, but we're still going to be thinking about that idea of alignment. So just as your car runs more smoothly and requires less energy to go faster and farther when the wheels are in perfect alignment, you person perform better when your thoughts, feelings, emotions, goals, and values are in balance. And I think this is a great quote to really kind of think about how alignment for us really can show up in those thoughts, feelings, emotions, goals, and values. The quote is by Brian Tracy, who wrote the Eat the Frog book, if you've heard of that. If the worst thing you do, if you eat the frog at the very beginning of the day, nothing else bad, nothing else could be as bad as eating the frog. So it's good book there, and good advice for all of us when we think about this idea of alignment. So on the agenda for this morning, we are going to do the last week of the alignment mind map. If you haven't done this before, no worries. I'll show you all 4 weeks prompts. You don't have to catch up, and you can just kind of work on that prompt. In these weekly setups, we always do a mind map where we can dig a little bit into the theme. And we always have 4, even if there's more weekends than that. And then sometimes if there's an extra weekend thrown in there, we will have a bonus mind map. But you can always just kind of find a blank page, divide it into quarters, and work on that. Next weekend, we will start with the February mind map. So just so you are aware, we're going to do our Rosebud Thorn activity, which is over on page 50. And we're going to do those weekly setup pages, which are on page 52 and 53. So I always use these 2 little cartoons to illustrate a couple points that I think is so important when we get together. There's room for you here just as you are. So no matter if things are going great and you want to share, we love to hear those great things. If things are not so great, we can share those. We can empathize. We can commiserate. Whatever's happening, we can totally be there for you. And then the way you feel matters. No emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So no one can tell us how we're supposed to feel, like, oh, you're not supposed to be mad about this, or oh, you're supposed to be happy, those kinds of things. Our feelings are our feelings. So okay, good. I'm glad Nicole was saying that I was breaking up, which hopefully I know some folks, the snow on the lines and the ice and that kind of thing, so hopefully that doesn't. But yes, let me know if everybody's having an issue. It could be my internet, but hopefully, knock on wood, mine is good. So let's start with that mind map. We've been thinking about moving into January, centering ourselves on this theme of alignment. And after that busy energy of the holidays, this has really been our chance to ensure that our habits, rituals, and daily routines are serving that person that we want to become. And I will be honest, I don't usually do New Year's resolutions. While I know this is the new calendar year, I don't really do New Year kind of things until March, until the spring, that solstice, right? And so then it's kind of like to me, that's the new year, starts in spring. So these months, so this January, February, and then that part of March is really me kind of seeing how I want the new year to be, that starts in March. But if you are doing the resolutions and you are kind of setting things up, looking for that glow up that happens when our outside actions match our inside truth. So this week we are on week 4. Again, remember, if you haven't done week 1, 2, and 3, here's the prompts. You can do a little screenshot if you want to work on that later. You don't have to catch up. I promise we're not going to come knocking on your door and ask to see your mind map. And if you haven't done the first 3, you get a demerit. Like, that's not going to happen. So week 4 is thinking about that self-calibration. So imagine it's the end of January, which it almost is, right? Or maybe you want to imagine the end of February. You've been doing all this alignment work. What is one specific way your life feels more in sync because you chose to prioritize alignment over external expectations this month? And we've been talking a lot about this idea of how external expectations, either real or imagined, can really kind of wreak havoc on our nervous system, make us more anxious, make us kind of stressed out. So we've been really kind of working about talking about setting boundaries, really kind of trying to be clear about what we want, trying to quiet that noise of external expectations. So one of the things that when I think of my life feeling more in sync is that knowing some of the external expectations that I make up in my mind that I think people have of me, I just try to erase those. And I am very clear about my time and what I can and can't do and what I want to do versus what folks need me to do, and being very clear, like I can't do this or I can't cancel things. So my mom lives with my sister here in town, and a lot of times she will be like, Maya, you need to take mom here. Maya, you need to do this with mom. And I love doing things with my mom. We're going to the ballet next weekend. But sometimes I have other things that I'm doing. So sometimes I have to be very specific and say, I'm sorry, I already had something planned for that day. Can one of the other sisters, I have four younger sisters, and only two of them live here in town, but it's like, I already have this schedule. Can someone else do something with mom? Can someone else take mom there? Those kinds of things. So helps me feel more in sync because I don't feel that kind of resentment of like, oh, I had to change my schedule. I have to kind of switch things up. This is what I'm doing, and I'm happy to do these other things. But sometimes saying no it's a complete sentence, right? Like, no, I'm not able to do that. Someone else can pick that up. So I will let you work on that. Feel free to share in the chat. I know some folks are still kind of popping in, maybe slept in a little bit. That's absolutely fine. We're just working on that week 4 mind map, and I will play just a little bit of music and we'll check back in and see how things are going. Right. Thank you for sharing in the chat some of the situations that really kind of have occurred for you, ways that you have kind of prioritized that alignment for yourself with your beliefs and your actions and those kinds of things to really help you feel a little more in sync. And it's a process, right? It's not a like one and done. Oh, I've prioritized alignment and now I'm done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's an ongoing thing. We have to constantly kind of think about our behaviors and how they're aligned to what we want and those big goals. And what is it? There's the quote about if you have the journey of 1,000 miles, you start out each morning, you do your 25 miles, and then you eat and rest, and then you do the same thing the next day. So just that idea of kind of holding things in small pieces and that consistency piece helps you get to where you need to go. So thank you all for sharing kind of what you're thinking this. And this is a great question to really kind of look at throughout the week, really kind of go back and see if there's anything as you're working on that. And I see lots of folks talking about boundaries, and those can be really tricky. I think we need to, I'm sure we've had some socials around boundaries, but maybe we need to do one where it's all about setting boundaries and what that looks like and how it doesn't have to be a hard, mean thing to do, but it's just something that you need to you have to get practice doing it, right? And it's really hard. And then when people notice if you don't uphold those boundaries, they know to push. They like, if I just keep pushing, she'll drop that boundary. So totally tricky. So thank you all for sharing in the chat kind of what you're thinking, how you're answering this question. And yeah, if you haven't had a chance to do the other weeks, you can always go back and look at those. But remember, you do not have to. You can just work on this idea of our self-calibration and what that looks like in terms of alignment. You could also even think about for next month with the theme, which I won't say because I don't want to spoil it if anyone hasn't seen that yet, but it works nicely with that as well. So let us go to our rosebud thorn activity. We do this every week, spend a little bit of time reflecting on the past week. It's always important to remember the things that happened throughout the week, the good, the bad, and the things we're still looking forward to. So just like this quote says, life is like a staircase. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down, sometimes you go up and down a million times. But just know that that's life, right? And so really kind of thinking about our rose, our bud, and thorn. I like to start with the thorn just because that way I can kind of get the icky part out of the way and end with the happy part, the rose. So if you've been with me for a while, you know my husband a few weeks ago had to take him to the ER. It turned out to be appendicitis. He's doing much, much better. He was in the hospital for like 3 days. He's home now. They're still working on scheduling the surgery to remove it. He's been on antibiotics. He's feeling a lot better, but it still is this thing that just is constantly, I'm always like, is it going to rupture at any given point in time? I'm constantly checking on him. Are you okay? He makes a noise and I'm like, are you okay? Was that a pain? He's like, no, it's fine. So that's just kind of a thorn. So that thorn is just a challenge, maybe something that's a little stressful, something that's out of your control, something that kind of impedes your efforts. So we haven't really got to do as much as we would have liked to have done these last few weeks, like going to movies and going out because he just hasn't really felt like it. So that's been a little frustrating. But then we can go to our bud. It's that emerging opportunity, something that we have planned in the future that we're looking forward to. It gives us hope, motivation, inspiration. So a friend and I have season tickets to the Colorado Ballet, and they are doing The Great Gatsby. And so we are going on Friday. My mom goes with us as well. And then another friend. So it's like a group of us gals, and we go out to dinner and then we go to the ballet, and really excited for The Great Gatsby. Supposed to do this in 2021, had to cancel or postpone rather due to the pandemic. So they're finally going to be doing this, and I'm pretty excited that we're going to kind of dress in 1920s outfits, and so I think that will be I think that'll be fun. So that's something fun to look forward to on Friday. Plus, I'm glad that it's this coming Friday and not this past Friday where it was super, super cold. So I think it will be better. So that rose is that upcoming opportunity, right? And or the bud, and then our rose is our highlight, right? The thing that for the week was lovely, made us happy, made us smile, something that we're grateful for, something that's positive in our lives right now. Um, and so for me, it was having the 3 day weekend last week. It was nice to be able to have that little break where we just kind of chilled out at home, didn't do a whole lot, but it was just a nice little downtime. So feel free to share your rose, your bud, your thorn, all of them, some of them. And notice that sometimes some one thing can be all three, right? So don't feel like, oh, it's weird because I have this thing and it's kind of my rose, but it's also a bud, but it's also a thorn. Sometimes life works like that. So I will be quiet. I will let you work on this for just a little bit, and then we will check back in. Thank you all for sharing your rose, your bud, your thorn. I appreciate um, just kind of this time for us to really reflect on this last week. We had lots of different folks with roses, like one of their kiddos, has a birthday this week. So happy birthday. Also, happy birthday to any of you that are maybe celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, or maybe it's your Sonder anniversary. Different kinds of things like with your jobs. Sometimes a job can be the rose, sometimes the job can be the thorn. Some folks who were doing some fun, getting some awards for some sports that they enjoyed. It's always so fun to find an activity that you enjoy, because then you'll really stick with it. So kudos to you for I still haven't quite found the thing that I really like. So again, thank you all for sharing. This is such an important moment just to spend, and it's also good. This is a good page to go back on when we do our monthly check-in and monthly setup, which comes at the end of this week. And be able to look, when we look back at the whole month, we can go back and look at all of those weekly rosebuds and thorns and kind of see what our month entailed. So thank you all for sharing those. So let's dive in to our weekly planner over there on page 52 and 53. And I'm going to talk about the feel and the weekly major three goals there on page 52, because I think sometimes they go together. I think that it's nice sometimes to set some goals that if you accomplish those goals, you will have that feeling that you want to feel. So that how I want to feel, I often say it's how I want to show up for myself and the world this next week. So you can see some different things. Sometimes people put one word, sometimes it's several words. Maybe it's a phrase, maybe it's a mantra or an affirmation that you really liked. Maybe it's a sticker, right? This is a great place to put stickers. I always say our stickers need to fulfill their sticker destiny. Stickers are meant to be stuck. So get that box of stickers out and give them some joy. They're putting them on the page. Maybe it's something you want to focus on for the week. Maybe it's a quote. Maybe if you're doing word of the year, Nicole is going to hibernate. Yes, you can totally hibernate. You want to feel hibernation enjoyment. I think that's a great way. Maybe it's hopeful or self-love or progress, any of those kinds of things. Cozy definitely is a good one, how you want to feel. And then those major three goals, I have a lot of, I've been spending time on Instagram finding fun little um, little graphics, and I can justify my time on Instagram because I have to find fun graphics to show in the Sonder socials. But I like this one. Said do more of your favorite things. So sometimes my goal is to spend 15 minutes doing my favorite things. So there's some fun things on there. Maybe it's painting or knitting or sewing, looking at flowers, drinking some nice tea, those kinds of things. And then here's some examples of things folks have done. We do love a good bingo. So there's a couple bingos on here. One is an unplug bingo that they want for their three goals. One person, I appreciate, they have multiple, like they have the 16-ounce water and they have that on there 3 times. So they can do that 3 weeks and cross off, or 3 days, cross off a little box, or maybe every time they drink the 16 ounces of water. They also have wash hair, which I also appreciate because I don't know about you, but sometimes when it's cold outside, I'm like, I really don't even want to get in the shower because it's so dang cold. So putting that on your bingo card can feel kind of fun to gamify. Maybe it's a work of body and mind. Maybe it's one person they have a need and a hope. They need more time outside, so they hope to do more short walks for peace of mind. They need time to be social, so they hope their friends' schedules will align with theirs. They need a clean car, so they hope by doing that they reduce guilt. So I think that's a fun way to kind of think about that. Here's some other fun ones that folks have done. Maybe a me, home, and a work, a left brain, right brain, no brain. Some easy New Year's habits for mind, body, and soul from our Silk and Sonder Instagram page. Just some different ideas of things, some goals maybe that you want. Again, so think about, and I know folks are sharing in the chat how they want to feel: cozy, empowered, steady, content. Think about those, share that in the chat, and then also share what you're going to do with that weekly major three goals sections. And then we'll check back in and keep moving on. All right. Thank you for sharing in the chat how you want to feel this week and how those goals that you're choosing, goals that you're setting are really going to help you with that feeling. And I do want to mention sometimes people say, well, I really want to bring my goals from last week. I want to bring them forward. I didn't necessarily accomplish them quite to how I wanted, or maybe you have monthly goals that you set. And so each week it's the same three goals and you're just making progress on those, which I think is absolutely fine. Don't think you have to come up with three brand new goals every week. Also, it doesn't have to be three. Maybe you want to focus on one specific goal this week. So you have one major goal that you want to focus on. So never feel like even though we give lots of suggestions, right? We talk about the three major goals and those kinds of things. Do what you need to do for you for the week. So thank you all for sharing in the chat some of the different things that you're putting in there for your three goals. Let's move over to our to-dos and our habits and activities, because sometimes those are a little interchangeable, or as I called them, the habities. The one time I was talking too fast and made up a new word. I liked this little graphic was kind of pretty because it says every day we should hear at least one little song, read one good poem, see one exquisite picture, and if possible, speak a few sensible words. So I feel like that would be a good to do or a habit and activity that you want to do. Maybe listen to one little song, read one good poem, see one exquisite picture, speak a few sensible words. I think those are some good to-dos to add on there. So one thing that some folks like to do is if they have maybe a big list of all the tasks that they need to accomplish, they will use the Eisenhower matrix to sort those out to kind of see if it's something they need to do, delegate, decide, or delete or drop. So again, those things that are important and urgent, things that you need to do, maybe those things that aren't important and they're not urgent, maybe they're things that you can delete from your list this week. Some people like to do a self, home, and work, and you notice that example there in the lower left, she's giving herself points. She's kind of earning points for a prize there at the end of the week. So if she does these different things, then she gets different points. Also, if you're working on something, sometimes using the Pomodoro technique can be super helpful when you really want to stay focused on something. So you pick the task that you want to do, you set a 25-minute timer, you focus on just that task. You don't allow yourself to be distracted by pings and dings from your phone or notifications or sneaking over to check email. You focus on that and then you work until the time is up. And then you can take that 5-minute break for every 4 Pomodoros that you do. You can take a longer break. This is so helpful for me when I need to get something done and I find myself being distracted. You know, the little squirrel phenomenon really helps me stay focused on what I'm working on. Here's some other examples, maybe now and later. So now or in the next day or two, later this week, things that they're going to want to do. Maybe you have a work and a home list. Maybe you have a need and a want list. Maybe you have you're in school or your kiddos are in school. So you have a school and a personal list. Maybe you've been working on that, your routine. So you have that AM and PM list of things that you want to do. This one I like. They have I will meal prep because I hope for a healthy and energy fueled week. So I like the idea of she's like, I'm going to do these things because I'm hoping that this will happen. And I like that idea of connecting it to the outcome, doing the thing because this will be the outcome. So I think that's a great way to kind of think about that little to-do section. You could also do a to-don't list, things you don't want to do this week. Maybe you want to have it be a to-be list, how you want to be. So you want to be kind and calm and purposeful, reflective, delighted. Maybe you want to make a ta-da list. So I always think of the ta-da list as something. Have you ever noticed you'll be doing some things on your to-do list, but then you also do some other things that weren't on the list? You can go back and write those in and check those off immediately. So it's like a ta-da, I already did these things. So that's kind of a fun way to do that. Maybe you want some weekly self-care ideas for when you have no time. So 60 seconds, you could squeeze in a little hand massage to reduce stress. If you have 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, some great ideas for some self-care that maybe you want to put in that to-do section. So for those habits and activities, I thought this is a good graphic to include. I know many of us have that overthinker tendency. So remembering that not every feeling needs an explanation. You're allowed to change your mind more than once. You can come back to this thought later. You don't have to prepare for every possible outcome. That's always me. I think, well, gosh, what if this happens? I need to have this. And what if this happens? I need to do this. You don't always have to do those things. Here's some other examples of how folks have used it. Some have set it up for their night ritual there on the habits and activities. So the little goal line is for how many times you want to do it this week. And some people will ask, how is this little section different from our monthly habit tracker, that little wheel that we have? And really the wheel is for things we want to do daily for the month, but this is more things that are specific for the week. And maybe we only want to do them a few times. So you can see there's like a just say no list. There's also some habits and activity for hope. Remember, hope was this person's how they wanted to feel this week. So they're going to have some affirmations, some mindful movement, a February vision board, daily victory log. It's always good to celebrate those daily wins, and gratitude in action. One person was like, nope, I'm not going to do this section this week. I've got other stuff going on. So they just wrote nope in there. Again, great place for stickers. And you do not have to fill in every line. Here's some examples of people who put one thing or maybe three things. You can also, if you want to do something a certain number of times, the person in the bottom kind of circled those little, here's the days I'm going to do it. So they're going to cook all 3 meals and they're going to do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So they want to do that 4 times this week. So I think that's a great example. And then I also had this little things to remember this winter. Listen to what your body needs. You don't have to bloom right now. You're allowed to pause. Being tired doesn't mean you're failing. So maybe the habits and activities are reminders of things that you need to remember. And then I've been using this for the whole month, the January 31 days of living in alignment that came from our Silk and Sonder Instagram page. So today is the 25th. So it's book quality time with loved ones next month. So that's kind of the to-do for today. And then I have the weekend blessings little graphic that has unrushed coffee time, sleeping in. I know a lot of you were talking about sleeping in this morning. Couch time with a good show, time to be creative, some Sunday reset, afternoon walks, a break in the routine, time to read, dinner with friends. So April says, oh no, I missed the 31 days of alignment. I want to redo January. You could always bring alignment into February. I don't know if we're going to have a February calendar for the theme, but bring it on over, right? You can totally do that. So I'm going to let you work on those to-dos, those habits and activities. Feel free to share in the chat kind of what you're going to put in there, and we will check back and keep moving on. Right. So thank you for sharing what you're going to put in those to-dos, those habits and activities. I saw a lot of folks say they bring the habits and activities over. It's the same ones each week. That is absolutely fine. These do not have to be brand new things. If it's working for you, if it's helping you stay consistent, bring them on over, right? There is no reason that it has to be brand new things. And it's also really good sometimes to experiment with maybe a different habit or activity to kind of see, how did it feel when I did this? Did this actually help? Did it matter? Is it something I want to keep bringing forward? Maybe not. So thank you all for sharing. I will say, yes, this calendar is on Silk and Sonder's Instagram. Also, Jennifer popped in the link to it in the Facebook, because there is also the Silk and Sonder Facebook. And I don't, like I said, I don't know if we're doing one for February, but keep an eye. If you follow on Instagram, you can they'll probably pop one in there as well. So now let's move over to our B side, which is over on page 53. And our fabulous facilitator, Katie, always calls this her B side. You know how sometimes in a record, you listen to the B side and it's really good, but sometimes it's not such a great thing. Tanya, if you scroll up in the chat, you should be able to see the link that Jennifer put in there for the Facebook page. But again, you can also search on Silk and Saunders Instagram page and find, there you go. So we've got our meal plan, our mind body health plan, shopping list, and I am loving. And I think this page is really frequently one of the more repurposed, because you just never know kind of what you're going to need for this week. So some people like to do exactly what the heading says, and that's great. But then sometimes we like to switch things up. So our meal plan obviously can be for planning our meals, for tracking our meals, but some people like to do different things with it. So maybe it's one good thing, maybe it's an end of day reflection, maybe it's a wardrobe planner, maybe it's a packing list. Lots of different ways to do it. Maybe it's not planning all the meals, maybe it's planning dinner. So all of those kinds of things can be used. Here's some other examples. Meal plan, food for my soul. So she's got some different questions that she's going to ask. Emma says she makes hers the daily wins. I love that. Good to celebrate those daily wins. I found the fun little colorful picture of antioxidant rich foods. It's always so important for us to make sure we're getting those nutrients, especially in the winter when maybe we're not eating quite as much colorful. We're not eating, it's harder to eat the rainbow. So there's some ideas for things that you can have there. There's also always the national day of. If you just Google kind of national day of, it'll give you here's all the different things that you maybe want to partake in for those days. So always kind of a fun way to look at that. Our mind body health plan. And I put this little graphic in here to remind us of, we don't want to leave anything for later. Later, the coffee gets cold. Later, you lose interest. Later, the day turns into night. Later, people grow up. Later, people grow old. Later, life goes by. Later, you regret not doing something when you had the chance. So I've been working on not doing the whole like, oh, I'll save this for a special occasion, or I won't use the china unless it's a special occasion, right? Don't save it for later. We're going to use it now. So that can be a good mind body health plan. What are you going to, what are you going to do now, right? We're not going to save it for later. Some other ideas for things folks have done. There's a nice yoga, different kind of yoga that they're going to do for each day, a feel and a need chart, a highlight of the day, a little puzzle where they thrive when all the pieces come together, a little alliteration for you, a motivation Monday, talk it out Tuesday, walking Wednesday. Those are kind of fun. And I also liked this little quote about, if you are making your 10-year-old you proud and giving 80-year-old you something to reminisce about, I think you're doing okay. And I think that is a great example. Yes, Pam, don't save the special perfume. Enjoy it every day, right? Love that. And then we've got our shopping list. I like the honesty of this person. So they have 1 gallon of milk, 1 loaf of bread, 3 cans of soup, and 2 impulse items, right? So those darn impulse items that we get on our shopping list. So again, you can use this as a shopping list, or maybe it's some songs that you want to listen to. You could do a little boring stuff bingo that you have, celebrate your wins, a just for fun bingo, a little daily ritual list there. I love the idea. Maybe we should you should start posting in Sonder Club. People can be, here's the thing, I'm not going to wait till later. I'm going to light the candles. I'm going to use my china. I'm going to, drink the special, whatever it is that I've been saving. We can kind of talk about the special things that we're going to use because we want to use them. And then our I am loving is just something that we're reflecting on, something that we are enjoying, something that is making us happy, something we're loving. So I've almost done with The Borrowed Life of Frederick Fife. Love this book. It has just been so good. You do need maybe a little box of tissues with you, but not quite done yet. I'm hoping it ends well, but it's going really good so far. So that's what I am loving, that book. I also just finally watched K-pop Demon Hunters. I'd been kind of avoiding it, but I actually really, really enjoyed it. And I've been reading a lot about the gal who wrote a lot of the songs, who also plays Rumi, the main character. Highly recommend it. It's got a great message, fun music. And then I also, my Rich is a cozy home where I can enjoy my grandma hobbies. So I'm loving my grandma hobbies, doing my knitting. Yeah, K-pop is just, it's fun, right? So I will let you work on this page. I will play a little bit of music and then we'll check back in and we'll wrap things up. All right. Thank you all so much for sharing in the chat. And Nicole, I know you said you're like, I don't know what's happening this week. Probably it sounds like with the snow and those kinds of things. So I think you're just gonna have a take it as it comes week. Maybe there's lots of ta-da lists of things that you do just because you are able to. I think it's just kind of like whatever, whatever's kind of coming at me, you just yeah, anything can happen week. I love that, Courtney. So that's a fun way to kind of think about that. So be sure and share with us in Sonder Club. We would love to kind of hear what's the anything that is happening week. Again, thank you all so much for being here. I know this is always the fastest hour of the day. I don't know how it goes by so quickly. It goes by way faster than those work hours or those treadmill hours. So I hope everyone is staying warm, staying cozy. We've got lots of fun February socials coming up. Jennifer's going to pop some links in there. We have the recordings there. She's going to pop those in there. I will pop my playlist. I'll do it now before I forget. So if you want any of the fun music, if it will let me do it, it's being obnoxious. All right, so I will do that, and then hopefully everyone will have a safe, warm last week of January. Can you believe that? And hopefully we will see you all again. Jennifer's going to be doing the social tomorrow morning, or if you're able to join that, because who knows, maybe there won't be any snow. So we will maybe see you at that one. So take care, everyone, and we will see you again soon.